Carolina man who purchased a 2021 Maserati as a gift for his wife is now learning that the vehicle was stolen and wasn't actually a 2021 Maserati. Now, he purchased the car from Carvana, and while it might seem like this is just one big error, looks like Carvana's having more and more issues in, well, selling cars that they shouldn't be selling because they've either been stolen or they don't have the deeds for the cars, just all sorts of issues. So let's get into it, starting with what happened to this North Carolinian who bought this fancy car for his wife. So before we do it, understand Carvana tries to sell cars in a different way. They're trying to do like this paradigm shift away from, and this is admirable, I like the idea, right? Move away from the car dealership experience where there's a middleman trying to fleece you and pad his pockets through the process. No offense to all the car dealers out there and all the car salesmen. I dated one for 7 years, but I know you guys call people roaches. Anyway, with that said though, Carvana's like, let's take the middleman out, right? You can buy a car from the comfort of your own home, on your computer, even on your phone. You can send the appropriate and necessary paperwork online. So it tries to streamline and simplify the process of buying a car. The only problem is sometimes the cars that they sell happen to be stolen and they end up getting impounded. Okay, so let me give you the details about this this man from North Carolina. So he had to get the car serviced. So he takes it to the service department, and here's what happens. A technician at the dealership discovered that parts of the car didn't match the year on the car's paperwork or the vehicle's identification number. The tech told Scott, that's the guy who bought the car, his name's Jason Scott to be clear, told Scott the car was actually a 2017 Maserati and that it was stolen. So Jason Scott told a local television station, quote, when they checked the VIN number on the chassis, that's when they saw that it was a stolen vehicle. VIN on the car, on the window, and the door was different. So this is bad, but it's actually not the first time it's happened to customers who have purchased their vehicles from Carvana. In fact, TikTok has a bunch of videos about stolen cars that Carvana has sold. In fact, one man had his dream truck stolen. So let's keep my mic up. Let's go to the first TikTok video here that explains what happened.
This has to be addressed. How did this become this, become this, become this?
It was a stolen vehicle. Okay, the truck was a stolen vehicle and the cops impounded it. And there's the poor schmuck who's watching his dream truck getting impounded right before his very eyes because the truck happened to be stolen. All right, incredible stuff. Now, the story gets better, John, because someone on TikTok came across that video and responded to it for a very good reason. Let's watch.
So when I saw that video, I immediately started freaking out because that's my dad's stolen truck. Here it is. As you can see, it's got the same wheels, it's the same color. We are the family in Houston that it got stolen from. So I am so sorry that you guys had to deal with that. It was my dad's dream truck too. And sorry, Carvana sucks. They suck.
Now, going back to the man in North Carolina who bought what he thought 2021 Maserati, but it was really a 2017 Maserati and it had been stolen. When Carvana was reached for comment on it, a communications director said, when Carvana acquired this vehicle, someone had taken sophisticated criminal steps to steal and alter the vehicle, and we're taking all the necessary steps to make it right for our customer in this rare instance. Now look, I don't know how rare it is when there are multiple stories in the news that sound very similar, right?
Rare is, they don't mean that it never happens. They mean that rarely are they forced to acknowledge it publicly and have the media pay attention to what they're doing.
That's true, maybe. That's true. And there are some local news stories sprinkled, across the country about this, but I haven't really seen a big full-blown investigation into it by like a legacy outlet. Like I'd love to see New York Times investigate this. Maybe we can get one of our reporters to look into it. But no, they haven't been helpful. So Scott says that he had to prove to law enforcement that he purchased the car from the online used car dealer. He also contacted the company. And they didn't give him many options. He's told a local television station, she said, well, we can't trade the vehicle back in until you bring the vehicle back. I said, I can't bring the vehicle back. The police have the vehicle. Scott said his attorney eventually sent a letter to Carvana demanding $1 million in compensation for financial and reputational losses and a public apology. Carvana sent Scott a letter saying it didn't know the car was stolen when the company purchased it. It offered Scott $1,000 in addition to a refund on the vehicle and an apology. And Scott says, I know they say they have a 150-point inspection or do 150-point inspections. I want them to have 151. Check to see if the vehicle is stolen. The last thing I want anybody to do is to get caught late at night on some strange road in the backcountry and they can't verify it and they look at a person as a criminal. And I'm sure that's happened, okay? Like, it's insane. So I don't know what they do to ensure that the vehicles they're purchasing aren't stolen, but clearly they're not doing enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, they talked about the fact that they'd clearly done some like VIN swaps of body parts or whatever, and that it wasn't consistent. They call that sophisticated. I don't know if that's sophisticated. It seems like the way that you would figure that out is to check the VIN in more than one place, and it doesn't seem like they did that. It looks like if they checked it at all, they checked it in one place. So that would be my thing that I would add to the 150 is at least check to make sure that the VIN is consistent across the multiple parts. Beyond that, I don't know exactly how in depth they should go to make sure that it's not stolen, but they should definitely have to make sure that it's not stolen. Like, there's gotta be a way, like, I don't know if they can interface directly with the police or whatever, but there's gotta be a registry of vehicles that have been reported stolen that they can check it against. Look, it's easy to imagine this one company, I don't know if they're selling 1,000 cars a day, 10,000 cars a day, 100,000 cars a day. So I'm sure it's a relatively small percentage, but for the person who gets affected by it, like that last graphic was absolutely devastating. Like an individual who might get caught in the street, like that could be a life-ending thing right there. So they do have to do much more. Like, I'm not saying that they have to make it so this never happens. I don't even know if it's possible. I don't know how sophisticated the techniques are.
John,
but when you get caught out, you have to offer more than $1,000 in an apology.
Guys, there are used car dealerships all across the country.
You think they're checking?
Yeah, we don't see story. I mean, I'm sure that I'm not gonna say there's never been an instance of a different dealership having this issue, but I'm not seeing a bunch of stories in headlines right now, or cases in headlines right now of used car dealerships selling stolen cars. With Carvana, just do a quick Google search. And the thing is, since there hasn't really been any real media attention on this, and you'll just see local news stations covering it here and there, it's really hard to know how widespread this problem is. I can say without naming any names, I know someone personally who dealt with this similar situation. Someone that you also know, John, because we work with them, right? So
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so like, if someone we know has been victimized by this, and then we're seeing all these other stories in the headlines, I think there needs to be some investigation into it. There is currently a class action lawsuit against Carvana. I do want to also note a few other things. So let's take a quick trip to Georgia, because two individuals in Georgia had a lot of difficulty obtaining the title for the cars that they purchased through Carvana. So when you purchase a car, so let's say Carvana is buying cars at auto auctions, things like that, they should have a pink slip, right? Pink slip is a good indicator that the car is not stolen. So what's going on here? Do they just not have the titles or the pink slips for these cars? But in Georgia, Richard Stanford waited months to get the title to his car. When a FedEx package arrived from Carvana, it wasn't even the title that they sent him, but a letter telling him the company stating they no longer, or from the company stating they no longer had the title to his vehicle.
They had to mail that?
I'm gonna venture to say they never had the title to his vehicle. So like, where are they buying these cars? Why don't they have the title?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Now, Jessica Metz, another person in Georgia, left her Ford Fusion parked for nearly a year, unable to drive it because Carvana did not provide her a title to the vehicle. It's been a runaround, she said. It's been a disaster since I started dealing with them. I mean, obviously, I kept asking them, where's my registration? And they just kept telling me different excuses.
That bothers me more, honestly, because that seems more directly on them. I mean, maybe they're related problems. Maybe one of the reasons they're having troubles with some of the titles is because they're stolen. I don't know. But generally, that seems more consistent with what I've heard about for a long time, that like basically you just get caught in the corporate machinery and you might as well have not even bought the car. I mean, you lose the money, but you don't really have access to it. That seems more like they don't give a damn. They're not expediting giving you either an explanation or a refund or a different car, which is definitely within their power to do it. That seems more manageable than necessarily in some cases knowing for sure that a car wasn't stolen from, like maybe it was from far away or something. When you have both of the problems at the same time as well as other problems, that's when I think it's more significant even.
Yeah, we obviously need to learn more about what's transpiring here. I think that class action lawsuit against Carvana could help in uncovering what their actual practices are, what kind of oversight they've baked into their system when purchasing used cars to then sell through their business. I'm very curious to find out more, but who knows? I mean, considering we personally know someone who's been victimized by this, maybe someone in our audience also has some experiences with Carvana. Let us know, write in. I'm very, very curious to know if anyone else has had this similar experience.
Okay, just make one final comment.
Sure.
One of the reasons that this sort of thing, but I've never personally gone through Carvana, but it's something that at various points I've thought about, that or similar sorts of services that bothers people especially is because everyone, or a lot of people at least, are so desperate to not have to deal with dealerships.
No, I get it.
Like you just don't want to have to deal with that because you know it's intentionally just a waste of time and money.
Oh my God.
I'm sure there's some people that really care about cars and start them or whatever, but it is just a state mandated extra expense for you to get something that you have to have.
Okay, in our bonus episode for our members today, I actually want to talk about that further because I had an experience at a car dealership last year. There's something very specific that I want to vent about. Okay. So tyt.com/join to become a member. Only members can watch our members only bonus episode, obviously. But you help support the show when you become a member. You keep us independent and free of any corporate influence. So you got that going for you. Plus you get a fun members only bonus episode. So tyt.com/join to become a member.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.